Every major mistake I've made in my life involved a lack of sleep. Little mistakes, sure, but I've never made a big mistake when fully rested. When I finally realized that, I built a fortress of rituals and rules around sleep, and for the last few years, so long as I stick to the path, sleep comes easy. Field-tested, tried and true, the secrets of rest I'll now share with you. Background music by Stretch the Songwriter. Intro music by Vopiscus. Alright, this one's for Stretch and Jonathan. Maybe I should start by telling you what I do, and then we can go over the theory behind the components in more detail. I don't eat after 6 p.m. At 9:30 p.m., an alarm goes off, telling me to drop whatever I'm doing and take a walk. At this point, I also minimize human contact, including listening to podcast interviews or responding to texts, because conversations get a lot of momentum going in the mind, and I want to apply the brakes, not the gas. I throw on an audiobook and walk a mile, maybe two. I walk however far it takes to make me not want to walk anymore, and then I turn around and walk home. By the time that's over, laying down sounds nice. When I get home, I set my alarms and put the phone on silent, no vibration or anything, and place it face down so it can't light up the room and well out of reach from my bed. Then I turn the AC nice and cold and take a long hot shower. I have a waterproof Bluetooth speaker in the shower on which I play the same soothing, hypnotic song every night, and the shower ends when the song ends. Then I brush my teeth and sit on the edge of my bed to play guitar. Typically, this is a single riff or phrase so far beyond my skill level that it's slightly disheartening how slowly I have to play it, and I just do it over and over. You should take note of the theme of resistance here, as with the length of the walk and the choice of book later. The point is to wear down your desire to stay awake. So on the guitar, I'm not playing something easy and fun that has the light, exhilarating feel of ice skating, but rather drilling something lumbering and repetitive that feels like trudging through endless mud and gravity, over and over, just sitting in my boxers under the ceiling fan until I get cold. When I've purged all my excess body heat and finally get a little shiver that makes me crave the covers, I put the guitar up and turn on a small, noisy fan I have to block out any anomalous sounds made outside my room. So now, with the whole room totally blacked out except a little nightlight just behind my head, I lay down and read a book I don't really want to read. Non-fiction only. Something really dry and intellectual so that it takes brain power and I can't just breeze through it. Again, the resistance, the mud. The first time my eyes shut, I force them open and keep going. The second time they shut, or the first time I drop the book, I set it aside, turn off the reading light, and I'm out. That's the ritual. As long as I stick to it, it never fails. Food is the most common way I screw up, either by eating too close to bedtime or just overeating earlier in the day. Let's get into some basic principles. You don't have to accept this first thing to accept the rest, but Rule 0, the ground floor for me, is to sleep a 5-hour minimum no matter what. I will always get my 5 hours of sleep. I don't care what I have to trade for that. My appointments can be rescheduled, my friends and family will get over it, and I'll proudly lose my job before I lose brain cells. Maybe your priorities are different, but for me this is foundational. 7 hours is normally what feels best for me. When I screw up and get 6, my energy's a little low. 5, I'm cloudy, my judgment's off, and I'm inclined to want to be grumpy because I feel stupid and vulnerable. 4 hours, I don't know, because I don't do it. 5 is my minimum. That's Rule 0. That's personal, take it or leave it. Now we'll get into the universal stuff. Rule number 1 is regularity. Establish your circadian rhythm. Up at the same time, down at the same time. If your job doesn't allow you to do that, you need to renegotiate your terms. If they want the best from you, they're gonna have to respect your health. If you want the best from yourself, bedtime is sacred. Let's talk about why. When a neuron or brain cell fires, it expands as sodium ions bring water into the cell. When it stops firing, water molecules leave and it contracts. Less than an hour after falling asleep, when we hit that deep delta slow wave stage 3 sleep, most of our neurons are firing and relaxing in sync, expanding and contracting in unison, and this acts as a bilge pump for the glymphatic system, flushing cerebrospinal fluid through the brain and cleaning out debris and garbage buildup like misfolded proteins and dead cell components. Here's the catch. If it's not your normal bedtime and you go to sleep, your body doesn't bother with the cleanup because it's not sure whether there's time for that. And if you don't ever get regular, that crap builds up and your brain's not going to function the way it should. Same thing with growth hormone. There's a regular window, and when you're not regular, that window's shut. Major health consequences stem from that. So that's rule number 1, regularity. There are a number of things you can do to manage that. One is getting up at the same time every day. If you pick 6 a.m. and you're up partying until 2:30 a.m., but still force yourself up at 6, it's going to be a lot easier to fall asleep on time the next night. Personally, that's not my thing. Conflicts with rule 0, but the logic holds up as far as long-term results, so be my guest. Another rhythm attached to your circadian is that of your digestion. We're built with an entrance for food at the top and an exit at the bottom. It stands to reason that gravity is a natural part of the digestive process. A full belly might help make you drowsy by pulling blood out of your brain, triggering insulin, and so forth. But laying down like that will cause all kinds of problems, like heartburn and overheating and digestive trouble, and you'll feel like crap when you wake up. It's so much easier to hop out of bed in the morning with a flat stomach and a desire for food. Late night meals interfere with growth hormone release, generate excess body heat, and we all know being horizontal ain't the best way to keep your bile in. How much time you should put between eating and sleeping really depends on the size and content of the meal. Maybe it's 3 hours from a snack, 7 hours from a feast, but the foolproof way to understand rule number 2 is go to bed hungry. You won't like it at first because hunger generally makes us restless, but eventually, in conjunction with the rest of what you choose to add, the ritual is learned by your body, and hunger in this unique context becomes part of the stack of physiological cues that signal bedtime. A corollary to this is that you're not going to sleep well when you're constipated. Pressure makes heat. Rules surrounding diet belong in a different episode, but to sleep consistently, you want consistently regular bowel movements, which requires consistency in your eating habits. Time, quality, and portion alike. All aspects of your life tie together, and the rhythms either harmonize or interfere with one another. But this is the sleepisode. The poopisode will have to be another day. Magnesium is both a muscle relaxer and a laxative, but it can also give you a lot of heartburn. Calcium relieves heartburn, but causes constipation and potentiates muscle contraction. Another set of opposing minerals is sodium and potassium. Sodium will help you retain water, but cause constipation. Potassium will help relieve constipation, but make you have to pee. I hate to state the obvious, but this one's easy to forget. Don't drink too much water before bed. Let me also say that some foods are worse than others. Foods that make you gassy cause bloating, which causes heat. Foods that cause you inflammation create even more heat. If you're gonna break weak, at least be smart about it. Rule number 3, no stimulants past noon. The half-life of caffeine is different for everybody, but err on the side of caution. You might fall asleep fine, and you might even be able to stay asleep, but that doesn't mean your brain's resting and recovering the way it's supposed to. Rule number 4, physical exercise every day. There are exceptions to what I'm about to say, like when you have an exciting ideological breakthrough at the 11th hour, but in general, if your mind is always racing at night, you're not physically working hard enough during the day. How can enough energy remain for wakefulness if you've honestly fulfilled your productive potential? If your career doesn't wipe you out, you better join a gym or pick a sport. Working out regularly is an essential part of regulating your hormones and keeping your body systems in check. Rule number 5, blackout. No phone, computer, or TV. Unplug everything, put it on airplane mode, put it in a box, cover your window with blackout curtains, etc. Most phones have a blue light filter setting, but you still want to avoid low-effort, high-reward activities, which is the design of just about every app on your phone and every show on TV. Rule number 6, whiteout. You can't control your neighbors and roommates, but you can drown out most auditory anomalies with a $5 white noise machine. My brain's so trained that I find it difficult to even wake up in the morning without turning mine off. Earplugs are great too, don't discount earplugs. Rule number 7. Go to bed with a book, nonfiction only. If for some reason you're hyperactive and end up reading until 4 a.m., at least you'll learn something. It's hard to regret that. Rule number 8. Stay in dreamland. If you wake up to pee, don't check the time and don't touch your phone. As soon as you see a clock, you start making calculations and your brain spins back up into action. Don't do it. Try to remember what you were dreaming about and focus on getting back there. That's all I can think of right now. If you have some tips you want to pitch in, leave a comment or send an email to psychiclube@gmail.com so I can add them to a future version of this episode. Alright, so you've seen my bedtime ritual and I've given you a list of ingredients to pick from. Now go build your own. Hey guys, quick note before I go. I know some of these podcast topics are a little goofy, so if you like the way I think, but you really want to take advantage of the best of what my brain has to offer, look up my books on Amazon or Audible. My first book, Augmenting Willpower, is a field manual for human psychology that emphasizes personal accountability, while my second book, An Idea is Not a Product, is a guide for building routines and systems that force you to put your money where your mouth is. Both titles are available in all formats, so you can listen to the audio on the go, easily search topics by keyword in the ebook, and the paperback fits right in your pocket.